It's that time of year again, where the whole internet collectively come together in harmony and joy about which fantastic video game should earn the coveted Game of the Year. This is always a civilised, mature conversation that doesn't cause meltdowns from fanboys defending their favourite game, as they believe it should be Game of the Year. And why is this game nominated? It doesn't deserve it. Who's even heard of this game called Baldur's Gate 3? Looks like a mobile game to me. Spider-Man 2, now that's a lock-in for Game of the Year surely. It's the only one I played. Of course, a joke. Anyone who is remotely interested in gaming that isn't just Fortnite and Call of Duty knew that Baldur's Gate 3 was going to run away with the award last year. I don't even like Baldur's Gate 3, and I like most games, but I can respect what an absolute marvellous product it was. I have friends and family members who were convinced that modern gaming was simply not for them, only to fall in love with Baldur's Gate, dumping hundreds of hours pretty much revitalising their love for video games. For those on the outside of the gaming space, Baldur's Gate 3 winning Game of the Year was massively surprising. They're causing a massive meltdown across the internet, but if you've been watching the Game Awards as long as I have, you'll realise that this sort of discourse is not exactly a new thing. I don't think there's been a year that hasn't been controversial. 2018 comes to mind, for example. To this day, people still claim that Red Dead Redemption 2 was robbed from winning Game of the Year. And yeah, I love Red Dead 2, I've established that, but was it robbed? God of War 2018 won Game of the Year that year, and that's an absolutely fantastic game and fully deserving of Game of the Year, but people still can't let it go that even to this day, that Red Dead 2 should have won. And you know what, maybe it should have. It's all down to personal preference and opinion, and this year will be no different. Astrobot wins it, meltdown. Black Myth Wukong wins it, meltdown. And God forbid Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree wins it, it'll be chaos. But needless to say, no matter what your opinion is on what should and shouldn't be nominated for Game of the Year, should DLC even be eligible for Game of the Year, and why should remakes be eligible? No matter what side of the argument you find yourself on, it matters very little in the grand scheme of things. Because how we feel what should and shouldn't win matters very little, because our votes only make up 10% of the vote. The other 90% is made up by a voting panel by various different media sources. Honestly, this is probably for the best, because just because a game is popular doesn't mean it should win. If that was the case, Call of Duty or FIFA would win Game of the Year every year, and anyone who plays more than FIFA and COD knows that this wouldn't be right. This is all needless to say really, as the Game Awards, as Jeff Keighley likes to call it, has some real problems that are bigger than any of the controversy of what should win Game of the Year. First of all, the name of the show, the Game Awards. An award show that rewards the best in the industry over the past year. Very simple and straight to the point, but anyone who has watched the Game Awards knows that simply isn't the case to what the Game Awards actually is. Instead of being a show that is dedicated to awarding the best of the past year, it's actually a really long trailer show with more ads than awards to give out. The name of the Game Awards just feels redundant at this point. But yeah, when your award show has 3.5 hours and only 20 minutes of it is handing out awards, it takes away a lot of the integrity of the award show, which, let's face it, a big reason why a lot of general audience tunes into the Game Awards is not to see who wins any of the awards, it's to see all the reveals that take up a majority of the runtime. And I'll be honest, if the Game Awards didn't have these big reveals, I probably wouldn't tune in either. It's nice to see people get acknowledged for the amazing work that they do that we all love so much. But it's those big reveals for what's coming next, it's what keeps me and most people coming back every year. But it's clear that there needs to be a balance. Another problem that's become very apparent at last year's Game Awards is the clear disrespect that the show has towards the people who actually make these games and win the awards. What do I mean by this? Well, during the 2022 show, Christopher Judge won the award for Best Performance as Kratos for God of War Ragnarok. Very well deserved. He goes up on stage to accept his award and proceeds to give a 7-minute speech, thanking all the people in his life and the staff at Sony Santa Monica. It's clear that the award meant a lot to him, and it was nice to see how happy it made him. But for Dorito Pope, this wasn't good. Because of Judge's long speech, it affected the pacing of the show, meaning that he could not ram as many ads for DoorDash and Genshin Impact down our throats. So in 2023, Jeff had a way around this. As soon as anyone went up on stage to accept their award for something that they had probably spent many years of their life on and were very proud of, only to be shown this screen. pretty much as soon as they started speaking. The poor devs of Cocoon, when they won debut indie game, barely got a word out before the music started playing for them to get off the stage. It was incredibly disrespectful to them, who had obviously spent many years of their life into a game that was being recognised, only to be told, in all intents and purposes, get off the stage, we've got to show everyone another anti-vaping advert. But in all fairness to Jeff, he did acknowledge that he wasn't letting people speak for long enough, and tried to give more time as the night went on. But at that point, it was too little too late, as the clear lack of respect had already been made clear. So what happens this year? What changes can Jeff make to make this year a much better show than years previous? Because it's easy to make complaints, but what do I reckon would improve the show, while also being realistic? Because ideally, we say get rid of all the ads, get rid of all the forced celebrity appearances who clearly don't care about video games, and get rid of the bloody Muppets. But let's face it, that ain't happening. This show still needs to make money, so the ads and the celebs are here to stay. And for some reason, Jeff has a thing for the Muppets, so they're not going anywhere either. A realistic ask, I believe, is to simply tone down the amount of games that are revealed, because there's so many that end up getting announced only to get lost in the crowd due to the amount that get announced, and people only tending to remember the heavy hitters. If you're an indie studio releasing your first game, reveal your game at the Game Awards only to be forgotten about 10 seconds later because a GTA 6 trailer was there. Just cut down the announcements and give the time to the hard-working winners to give a proper speech. And another way I propose that could improve the show might be a bit controversial, but hear me out. I know this show is already on the lengthy side at 3.5 hours long, but this is the night in gaming now. If you need to make it longer so more people get their flowers and make it a better show, then do that. And I'm saying that as someone who lives in the UK. The Game Awards don't start till 12:30 in the morning for me and goes on till 4 AM. But if it made for a better show, I'm happy to stay awake just a little bit longer. Now, of course, yet again, these are just my opinions on what I think should improve on the Game Awards. You may have different opinions to me, and that's fine. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And if you like the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps a small channel like mine more than you think, and it would be greatly appreciated. So thank you again for watching, and hopefully I will see you again.